East Longmeadow boundaries. Did you know that Enfield, Suffield, Somers, and Woodstock originally wanted to remain a part of Massachusetts? We were just that awesome that they didn't want to split. Unfortunately, we cut off all contact in 1826. Before 1826, flyers, taxes, etc. were still sent to make them feel included in the community. Some town lines were also established around this time with Wilbraham and Springfield. Everett Barney donated his estate to the city of Springfield on the condition that it became Springfield land and no longer Longmeadow land. At this time, East Longmeadow and Longmeadow were one town.
Longmeadow was known as the street, and East Longmeadow was known as the East Village. They got the name of the street because Route 5, which was a major street in the Northeast, ran through Longmeadow. The East Village got its nickname because they were east of the village of Longmeadow. Furthermore, Longmeadow was called Longmeadow because it was a long meadow used for cattle grazing. Tension slowly grew between the two sides of town. For example, in 1810, the town put together a committee to make repairs to the meeting house, located on the street side. Eventually, all repairs were voted down, and the best they could do was repaint it. This was the first step in making the street people better against the East Village people.
As the inhabitants of the East Village increased, so did its influence at town meetings where majority ruled. The more people who voted in favor of something got their way. Census records show from 1875 that East Village went from 50 people to over 854 in just 5 short years due to the expansion of the quarries and open jobs in them. Very often elected town officials lived in and represented the East. For many years, town meetings favored the majority in the East Village. Almost everything the street wanted or needed got voted down. This was especially evident when improvements were needed. New sidewalks, town hall, railroad lines, etc. were all created in the East Village using all the taxpayers' money. Eventually, the street residents couldn't take the unfairness of it all, and they wanted to split. It took a few attempts and years to become separate towns, but East Longmeadow was officially established as its own in 1894.
The history of the Norcross brothers. James Franklin Norcross was born in Salem, Massachusetts on January 8, 1856. He left school at an early age to enter the employ of his father's firm, Norcross Brothers. After 3 years in the contracting business, he went to East Longmeadow to learn stone cutting and quarrying, an important department of the business. He was made superintendent at the plant in Longmeadow until 1897 when he resigned and moved to Springfield with his family. He did continue to care for the business until 1901. The Norcross Brothers Company operated many of the quarries in East Longmeadow. His company generously donated the brownstone to be used to build the town hall. His family's East Longmeadow residence still stands on Maple Street and it is used for various functions. The Norcross Company was very famous around the country for their stone and construction projects. No job was too small.
There are many famous places that are made out of East Longmeadow's brownstone. Here are some of the buildings: the Smithsonian Museum, Yale, Princeton, Smith College, Mount Holyoke College, and Harvard. Those famous buildings are made at East Longmeadow's brownstone. East Longmeadow has redstone and brownstone quarries everywhere. Maynard Quarry was the first redstone quarry operated by the Norcross brothers in the 1900s. Do you ever wonder what happens to abandoned quarries? A quarry named Beebe's Quarry was a small quarry that got filled with water so children swam in it. Beebe's Quarry was on the west side of Elm Street, and it was about 100 yards away from North Brook Street. Do you know how the stone was transported from quarries to the stone yard? There are many ways to move stone or minerals to the stone yard. Here are a few ways. Two men named Mr. Thomas W. Spite and Mr. Henry Goodrich managed a way of transportation. They used several heavy wagons to transport it. Another way is that they used 6 horse hitches to pull large blocks of stone. One last way is that they used oxen and horses to transport the stone. Do you want to know where some quarries are located? The Pine Kibbe Quarry is on the south side of Chestnut Street. Johnny Hines Quarry is on the east side of Kibbe Road. The Big Quarry is on the west side of Somers Road near the police station.
Quarries were a major part of East Longmeadow. They used a variety of tools and hand machines to harvest the massive stones. They cut the stone with dynamite and chiseled by hand. They used a boom crane to lift the stone, or they used a horse to pull the stone out of the quarry and into the cutting shed. They used axes, mallets, or tooth hammers. They also used drills and saws. They are all stamped with the workers' names. Rock drillers put pins and feathers into the quarry stone until it breaks. Another way to cut the stone is by a drill machine.
The East Longmeadow Railroad. The East Longmeadow Railroad was created in 1876 when the Connecticut Central Railroad was extended from Hartford to Springfield. A chunk of the railroad ran through East Longmeadow. When the quarries were in business, the trains carried redstone and employees to the quarries. In fact, when the quarries were running, 3 or 4 trains would leave the station with redstone/brownstone and employees in the quarries to and fro from places. The railroad terminal closed down in 1944 and is used for storage purposes by the Community Feed Company. When the quarries were out of business, the trains carried goods. In cold weather, trains carried natural gas for the Springfield Gas Company. Eventually, the railroad became exempt in the 1950s and no longer was needed by the town to transfer goods. This is because of inadequate heating factors and couldn't keep perishable goods at a standard temperature. Live fruit from Florida. The town converted it into a $1.5 million bike trail for recreational purposes in 2010.
Town Hall. The town hall was built in 1882. It was built with brownstone and the Norcross Brothers Stone Company at a cost of $7,000 donated it. In 1886, 2 large schoolrooms occupied the first floor. The town hall is located at 60 Center Square in the middle of the town next to the library. In front of the town hall, there is a stone commemorating the town's 75th anniversary, which was made by the McCormick Stone Company of East Longmeadow. It has been there since June of 1969. There are many offices in the town hall now. They are the town clerk, the selectman's office, board of health, inspector's office, tax collectors, public works, waste and recycling, and the treasurer's office.
Library. The first library in 1896 was located in the clerk's office in the town hall. It was only open 2 hours a week on Saturday, 1 to 3 o'clock. It had a total of 26 books and 13 borrowers. Its book collection and services, worth about $100, had expanded as the population increased and larger quarters had been needed in the past 12 years. This was a good thing considering children under 12 could not get books. The original library continued in the town hall with hours increasing to 26 a week until the voters authorized the election of a new library adjoining the town hall. This building, dedicated on July 1957, was designed to accommodate 20,000 books and was open 39 hours a week.
The population has continued to grow, and in the 2000s there's a need, once again, to upgrade technology, spaces, and store more books. The new library opened in 2004 on February 3rd and is 2 floors.
Rotary. Did you know that the town is famous for its crazy rotary? Well, it is. It is in Ripley's, believe it or not, for being the first 7th Street rotary in the world. All 7 streets empty out into the rotary at the center of town. It has 5 stop signs and no stoplights. The town is located next to the rotary. Back in the day, the rotary looked very different. It was made out of dirt roads, and there were no cars, only horses. In fact, there was once a water pump that horses and oxen could have a water break. That now stands in front of the town hall. People moved slower through the rotary, and the town hall had a lot less people in East Longmeadow, so traffic was not a problem at that time. Eventually, more people moved to East Longmeadow, and the traffic became a problem. Trolley cars were also added in the center of town, and it became dangerous. The town tried to fix the congregation many times. Once in 1927, the selectmen decided to remove the tree belt between Elm and Pleasant Streets, giving the road an extra 3.5 feet. People were mad because the trees were beautiful and they had just teared them down.
Historical homes. There are many historical homes in East Longmeadow, including the Norcross House, the Swetland Peace House, the Champlain Corner House, the Elijah Burt House, the Northeast District Schoolhouse, and the Daniel Hancock House. The Norcross House. It was built as a summer home for the family of J. Franklin Norcross in the 1880s. The Norcrosses owned it until 1949 when the East Longmeadow Tea Room used the first floor. Then, in 1953, the place was made into the Busy Bee Preschool. The preschool is somewhere else now because in 1961 it became a studio for artists. Now the Norcross House is a rentable property for birthday parties, baby or row showers, etc. The Swetland Pease House. The Swetland Pease House is located at 191 Pease Road. Benjamin Swetland built it in 1793. Eli Swetland was the first recorded owner in 1831. Then later, the Pease family owned the house. Pease Road was named after them. One of the owners, Marvin Pease, served on the school committee, was prominent in local civic affairs, and was a town assessor. 56 Summersville Road. The house at 56 Summersville Road, Champlain Corner, is one of the oldest houses in town. It was built around the 1830s, although the original records were lost in a fire at the Longmeadow Town Hall. It was first purchased by Caroline Kibbe Champlain, wife of Henry J. Champlain, in 1862.
The Elijah Burt House. On 201 Chestnut Street, an historical home called the Elijah Burt House stands. It is the oldest house in East Longmeadow. It was built somewhere between 1720 and 1740 by Elijah Burt. The house was part of the Underground Railroad. The house contained a secret stairway through the closet leading to a hidden room in the cellar said to have helped slaves in the Civil War. The Northeast District Schoolhouse. A one-room schoolhouse of 208 Porter Road is one of the first schoolhouses in East Longmeadow. It was built in 1990 and considered the Northeast District. The building had been bought for £20. That means today it would have been bought for $37. Later, the building became a meeting hall called the Pecowsic Club, where they held public dances. Then, Mrs. Senecal's in-laws bought much of the farmland and divided the property and sold it as house lots. In 1994, Mrs. Senecal's in-laws bought the club and turned it into a private residence. In 1962, they added an additional family room on the side of the house. The side street, Senecal Place, was named after their family. The Daniel Hancock House. The Daniel Hancock House was built in 1795. It has 2 fireplaces, one being a Dutch oven type. Next to the house is a smaller house, but it is big enough for a person to live in. That building was a blacksmith shop. There is a well in front of the house. The Hancock family owned the land until 1921. Of course, there are more than 6 historical homes and properties in East Longmeadow, but if we name them all, we would be here until the world ends. Here are some more historical places in case you want to listen. There is the Blossom View Tea Room, the only restaurant in town from 1925 to 1933. 168 Hamden Road, built in 1852. The Stephen Ashley House, 22 Porter Road, built in 1805. And another is the Daniel Dwight House, 126 Meadowbrook Road, built in 1865. You can research some of these if you want to.
The numbers of call firemen increased so that by the early 1940s, 18 men were actively available to fight a fire. Most of the men lived near the station so that on time would be wasted from the sound of the road. In 1952, the town voted $60,000 to build a new police station and a new fire station on Maple Street, built by Fountain Brothers from Springfield. The new building would have 4 bays, 3 for fire applications, 1 for the police, and 1 for the ambulance. Within a few years, several other pieces of equipment were added. The first fire station was made in 1923. The first fire station was on Maple Street, behind the town hall. The second fire station was built in 1925 on Shaker Road. The third fire station was made in 1952 on Maple Street. The fourth fire station was built in 1997 on Summers Road. The first fire chief was Franklin Goodrich. The second fire chief was Earl Goodrich. Edward Lee was the second fire chief. Preston Wallace was the fourth fire chief.
The local police department was originally run by Amy L.J. Lietendra. He started in 1922. By 1952, the East Longmeadow Police Department had grown 6 regular patrolmen and 8 special officers. Those numbers continue to grow today. According to the International Association of Chief of Police, the general job description of a police patrol officer is to enforce laws and ordinances for the protection of life and property in their assigned area. Police officers receive assignments for the protection of a particular area, conducting investigations, and apprehending criminals. A law enforcement degree combined with training at a police academy will prepare you for the job. Police officers may also carry out more specialized tasks, and depending on their NQ skills and knowledge.
Leo M. Spate. Many people claim that Spate built the town. He began building homes with his brother Edward B. Spate in the 1920s, following in the footsteps of their father Edward J. Spate. Among early streets in the developed by the Spates are Marine Street and Greenacre Lane. After World War II, he continued building on Hanwood Hill, Spate, Arden, Bain, and Baymore Streets. Edward T. Spate had joined the construction firm at a long-life residence. He pleased his home buyers with a trusting reputation. Clarence Burton Cooley. Clarence Burton Cooley is a direct descendant of Benjamin Cooley, an early settler of Springfield and Longmeadow and a prominent citizen. Benjamin Cooley was born in 1617 in a place unidentified in England. He came to Springfield in the year 1647. Clarence Burton Cooley wrote an autobiography about his life growing up in East Longmeadow. Cooley Street in town is even named after him.
Spartan logo. The Spartan logo was chosen to be the high school mascot in 1960. Phil Demetrian painted the Spartan logo, and it was chosen because it looks fierce. The painting that Phil Demetrian made is still in use today. A Spartan is a fierce warrior from the town of Sparta in Greece. They are known for the battles they won, which were practically all of them. The town seal. The town's 75th anniversary seal was cut into a circular block of East Longmeadow redstone by the McCormick Longmeadow Stone Company. The stone is 5 feet in diameter and weighs about a ton. The old town seal has a picture of the town hall engraved in the stone. The new town seal has a picture of a quarry and a railroad, which are major things in the town. You can see pictures of both of them in the town hall. Henry Hall Store. One of the local businesses in East Longmeadow was the Henry Hall Store next to the Sports House sportswear shop at the center. The landmark building at the center of East Longmeadow has a long list of former occupants, including a hardware store, country store, barber shop, and post office. Built as a home about 1830, most of the original building is still visible. Around 1860, the front part of the home was converted into a store and the family resided in the rest of the building. Curtis Russell and his family occupied the premises about 1870 when he became postmaster storekeeper. In 1881, Russell sold the property to Henry Hall, who then moved in with his family and operated the store while serving as a postmaster as well. His son, William H. Hall, continued as storekeeper postmaster into the 1890s, but soon after lost the postmaster position to Orrin C. Hunt.
East Longmeadow schools. There are 5 schools in East Longmeadow that you can still go to and learn. There are the high school, Maple Shade, Mountain View, Meadowbrook, and Birchland Park. There used to be Center School, which was torn down. It was on School Road. Pleasant View School was once a school, but now it is a senior center. Center School was built in 1889 and consisted of 4 classrooms. It operated as a classroom for over 80 years. Center School is not still standing because it was a fire and safety hazard. It was demolished in 1971 by the town. It was located on School Road in 1901. An appropriation of $12,000 added 4 more rooms, which were completed in 1912. An increase in enrollment and they delayed plans and temporary classrooms had to run in the basement of St. Paul Lutheran Church. It was not until 1929 that indoor toilets and septic system were installed at Center School for the cost of $22,000 during the years 1918 and 1919 and 1920. All 7th and 8th grade students attended classes at Center School. Some thought had been given to adding a room for 9th grade students, but they continued to attend Forest Park Junior High School in Springfield. Center School was closed in February 1969 with the opening of the new Meadowbrook School on Parker Street.
Pleasant View. In 1916, $20,000 was appropriated for the construction of the Pleasant View School. The total cost of the original structure was $20,000. Although open for 2 years, in 1918 it was already overcrowded. East Longmeadow had a massive population explosion due to the active quarries in town. The school superintendent in 1920 recommended that an addition should be made to Pleasant View School and that a junior high school should be constructed. By 1921, conditions were so poor that 7th and 8th grade classes at Pleasant View had to use a hallway as a classroom. $150 was set aside for plans for an addition of 4 classrooms and an assembly hall for the school. However, in 1923, there was still no action on the addition, and some classes were so overcrowded that double sessions had to be held. And finally, in 1924, 4 classrooms and an auditorium were added to the cost of $50,000. This did not help overcrowding. In 1925, double sessions were still necessary. At the time, the committee was appointed to locate a location for another school. In 1926, $400 was appropriated for the purchase the land owned by Julia Knapp at the end of Girard Avenue. Finally, after many years of overcrowding and outdated classrooms and faculties, the Pleasant View School was closed in 1969 when it was replaced by the new, more modern Meadowbrook School on Parker Street.
Birchland Park Middle School. Opened in September of 1951, Birchland Park School was the first unit of what was thought to become a complete junior high building, with space for the senior high school. However, time would prove this idea incorrect. The increase in population called for what separated high school buildings. The one-story, H-shaped plan of Birchland Park offered access to the public areas, including a well-designed auditorium, without going through the academic areas. In addition, the building contained bright and cheerful corridors leading to classrooms, which were flexible in size and use, a spacious library, up-to-date science laboratory, and home economics room. Mapleshade School. Mapleshade School was built in 1954 to take the fullest advantage of the existing topography of the site. The 16-classroom building was designed to utilize natural lighting with its main exposure, northwestern and clear-story lighting from the southeast. The main lobby allowed access to the public areas, which could be used in the evenings without entering the academic areas. 2 large rooms for indoor play, as well as a room for both cafeteria and auditorium use, also took full advantage of sunlight.
Meadowbrook School. The new Meadowbrook Elementary School on Parker Street and Porter Road opened on February 24, 1969. Classes from Pleasant View Center School and some from Birchland Park School transferred to the new faculty at Meadowbrook to relieve overcrowding. Kindergarten students were able to attend the new school for the first time in September 1969. Similar to the design of Mountain View School built in 1960, the new building could accommodate 600 to 700 kids. The $1,415,000 building had 2 wings of 12 classrooms, each for a total of 24, and was the largest elementary school built in town. To join the 2 wings of the building, the central portion contained the office, teacher's workroom and lounge, a library, a cafeteria, auditorium, and kitchen.
Mountain View School. Built in 1960, the new Mountain View School was designed with cost efficiency on the Markham site. Although many different plans were considered, the final 1-story building with 20 classrooms on double-sided corridors was considered to be the most efficient. Attention was paid to the separation of children by age groups, the minimizing of cross traffic, and the access to all areas. All classrooms were designed with an exit to the outside to eliminate traffic in the corridors to allow easy entrance to the play areas to give maximum safety in case of fire. High school. The school survey committee appointed by the town in 1947 engaged McLeary Associates to study the town's educational needs. The report predicted that the town would need a high school in the late 1950s due to overpopulation. Also, the superintendent of Springfield said they would no longer allow any East Longmeadow kids to go to high school in Springfield. A new high school was built on Maple Street and it was built in 1961.